Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome and thank you for joining Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live blasting our signals from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free live streaming app on Google Play and the Apple App Store. As always, a huge shout out to the team. Mitch, Bill, and Sean, I love you guys, and to our special advisory committee that can be found at www.scbrtalk.com/advisory committee. Click on the link and learn about the incredible leaders doing the work. And of course, speaking of incredible leaders, I have two remarkable leaders today. We have John Chapman and Terry Jaqua. John T. Chapman, President and CEO of San Antonio Regional Hospital since 2018, stands at the forefront of healthcare innovation in California's Inland Empire and beyond with national recognition. Leading a 363-bed institution with more than 500 physicians and 2,000 employees, Chapman has orchestrated a remarkable financial turnaround and programmatic expansion, earning San Antonio Regional Hospital a 4-star Medicare ranking and top 50 cardiology status. His vision brought forth the Center of Aging, expanded urgent care, initiated residency programs, and fostered regional mental health collaborations. With a foundation in clinical microbiology and executive experience at Highland Hospital and UCSF, Chapman exemplifies operational excellence and transformative leadership. Dr. Terry Jaqua is a trailblazing human resources executive with over 2 decades of leadership shaping healthcare organizations. As Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer at San Antonio Regional Hospital, he steers human resources for 2,600 employees and 600 volunteers, driving innovation and operational excellence. His tenure at HMC Healthcare and Prime Healthcare Services was marked by transformative workforce strategies and improved labor relations. A published author and sought-after speaker, Dr. Jaqua's influence extends nationally beyond the boardroom. He enjoys hiking with his wife, Dr. Acclaim Jaqua, their daughter, Celine, and their 2 dogs. Thank you both for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me on again, Yvette.
Wonderful. So we're going to start with you, John, because this is a big conversation and you've been very busy. The hospital's been very busy working, innovating, and growing to meet the community's needs. So how would you characterize the current hospital market landscape and, both statewide and nationally?
Well, I wish I could be more positive about it, but I can't. Just today, in fact, in Vectors Healthcare, there's an article nationwide about the negative impact of finances on the hospital industry. So, for example, in California, over 53% of the hospitals in bed are in the red, meaning they're losing millions upon millions of dollars. There's a number of reasons for it. So for the last 6 years, there's been a 30% increase in costs, whether it be labor or for supplies. In addition to that, you have Medicaid, which hasn't had an increase in over 13 years, and in fact is being decreased now with legislation that has hit nationally. So it's been a very difficult time. Luckily, we are one of the few hospitals struggling but profitable. We hope to continue that. But it is a bleak outlook for the hospital industry.
Right. And, just recently, there has been a Kaiser strike that's come online that's impacting the healthcare landscape as well. What do you believe unions are seeking, and how is the role of unions evolving in healthcare?
Well, we both can talk a little bit about that. San Antonio Regional Hospital is actually a non-union shop. But in my history, a lot of people don't know this. My father was a union leader for 30 years. And what he always says is, unions are needed. in specific circumstances and at specific institutions. But if you run your business right, they're not needed. So I'm really unbiased against unions. I'm an advocate at some places, but here, for instance, we're doing okay.
And so what do you believe unions are seeking, Dr. Jaqua, and how is the role of unions evolving in healthcare today?
So I think, unions tend to thrive in employers that don't really address needs of their employees. I think that's what drives a lot of union membership. Just like John said, I think San Antonio Regional Hospital really has a different approach when it comes to things like this. We have a collaborative environment with our leaders. We have an open door policy, and a lot of these issues and grievances are addressed, pretty regularly, just because of the culture that we have as an organization. And I think from that perspective, we've been very successful in that engagement with our employees because of that. And I think, that's pretty much what drives a lot of the success at San Antonio Regional Hospital.
You mentioned Kaiser. Kaiser is on strike. I think it was a 5-day strike. And its wages, it's always a component is wages, but also making sure they have minimum staffing. The unions they're actually a conglomeration of unions that piece together the strike representing Kaiser members. And it's definitely having a say in how the hospital operates. And as Terry said, as compared to San Antonio, we already provide that say. We have to meet wages, whether you're a union or a non-union shop in the area. We're an independent hospital. We would lose employees and make it very hard to run. So we typically match the union industry and other hospitals in the area that are unionized, and many times exceed the type of benefits that they're offering the employees that they represent.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So this is a question for both of you, and we'll start with Dr. Jaqua. What would you say are the key advantages and disadvantages of unionization for hospitals and healthcare employees?
Key advantages. So, for instance, a lot of organizations that don't have established committees or forums or discussion groups with employees. So when you have organizations that get organized and unionized, that typically takes place. But again, that's something that we do fairly well here. We have several committees that employees get to participate with, that open door policy, that employees contribute a lot to a lot of the operational discussions that we have. And we have the President's Luncheon. Those are other components that we do that we find very successful. So all these are strategies that we do in order to meet the needs of our employees. I think that's one of the reasons here.
Yeah, and just to augment that, in each of our departments, we actually ask the employees to participate in cost efficiencies or operational improvements, because we all agree, there's no doubt that it's the staff doing the work that knows how to improve.
That makes sense. Okay, Dr. Jaqua, why has San Antonio Regional Hospital chosen not to unionize its workforce? And, you alluded to some of the organizational input that helps form that decision-making. Can you talk about other facets that help shape that decision-making as well?
So some of that has to do with the fact that employees get to participate in that process, right? When we have these committees that employees are there to discuss things that they think that are improvements, we respond. And some of those are great, phenomenal ideas that we implement. I think there, as an example, even this week, we had some President's Luncheon questions that were just great in terms of benefits. And we looked at that in our committees and thinking that this is probably something that we want to implement. So a lot of those ideas come from the employees. I think the other thing that you mentioned earlier about why we've been successful in not having unions in our facility, I think it's because a lot of employees have grievances and issues that they have, right? It's the normal course of business. But being able to address those issues, it's really vital. And I think if you're able to commit to the employee to addressing grievances and issues, I think goes a long way. I think, I have some examples of employees that have brought concerns to our attention. And we were able to resolve those. For instance, either a corrective action that was given to the employee, they felt that it wasn't investigated properly. So HR, being a neutral party, we did the investigation and found that there were some particular issues that occurred that were not shared with leadership, and that really changed. It wasn't a at-risk behavior, it was just a human error. And with the way that we function here as an organization in terms of just culture, right? We looked at that and thought, okay, this is probably not appropriate. It should have been handled a little bit differently. And we rescinded the corrective action. And we coached the leadership team, hey, next time, this is probably the best way to handle this kind of situation. So again, we are there to support the employee. We are a service department, and we serve our customers as our employees. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like adaptability and quick response is really what helps to continue that engagement. John, how does San Antonio Regional Hospital's culture of transparency contribute to employee retention and engagement?
Well, that's the secret ingredient to why San Antonio is different. Is it's an era of transparency and availability. So I can't tell you how many times employees will come in here with ideas or concerns. Using an example like Terry, just 2 weeks ago, I've had a maternity nurse come in with, I kid you not, it looked like a Santa bag full of supplies. And she said, John, these are the supplies that we're wasting in our C-section surgeries. There's got to be a way to be more efficient. Now, how many places can say that someone could come in, talk to a CEO, and have an idea of generating safety and reduce waste? So, and I can say that about the entire executive team, from directors on up. They know we want to hear about their ideas. They know we're a lean organization. Lean meaning we're trying to get rid of waste, whether it be cost, whether it be operational or waste in time. We want our employees to be able to work to the top of their license, their classification, and not waste their time on things that are unneeded. And they know that.
That makes sense. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, in terms of transparency, for instance, that you had asked the question, when we do wage analysis, right, we use HAS data, in a lot of our decision making, and we look at comparisons between other facilities such as Pomona, and other hospitals within our market. That data is shared with the leadership team, and even employees that come in to discuss their wages or concerns with us directly, no middlemen, they're directly coming to us. We share that with them. And if there is opportunity for improvement in terms of wages, we do make that decision to make sure that we stay competitive. I mean, these are employees that we've hired. We have a vested interest in their well-being, right? And in these good benefits and retirement funds. We want to make sure that they stay, right? We want to be the last employer that they work for, right? So in terms of transparency, we share this data with them. This is what we found. And if it's there and it shows a difference, that is a significant difference that we need to match, we make that adjustment. And it's something that we do regularly every year.
I think that's what, in my history, I've never seen until we came here is where have you heard where labor relations or human resources actually shares with employees what they're looking at on market ranges and where we fit. And we've had employees that we've met said, you know what, you're absolutely right. The per diem should be higher based on this. And a lot of places only do this once every 2 years. They keep it as if it's biblical. You can't read that chapter of the Bible that doesn't exist, that kind of thing. Here we share with employees. We give them copies of it. He talks about HAS. What that is the Hospital Association of Southern California. Over 140 hospital compared group. And we want to make differences for an employee. One of the things that we did is like, boy, how can we reward some of our most senior employees? Because what's happened over the years with salaries, before it used to be a straight line, right? Everybody was the same dollar amount apart by year. Then what's changed for nursing is they increase the range in salary in the first 5 years, and then it kind of flattened out. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden you have this compression. When you have someone working 20 years who used to make $20 more an hour than someone starting, now only makes maybe $12 an hour. Mm-hmm. That doesn't feel good if you've worked for 30 years. So we're one of the hospitals that actually took a cap off the top. That means our employees who are here for 40 years are making probably as much as one of the highest regions in the U.S., whether it be New York or San Francisco. So we never see someone over 20 years leaving our hospital. And I think that says a lot about the culture of transparency, family, and in it together. And that's the only downfall I have with coming from union shops. It always feels like there's a middleman. And then it feels like them versus us, which we don't want. We want people to come here and say, hey, they're part of something great, something that's benefiting the community, and they are being respected, and we're treating them correctly.
And what's the overall tone or feedback that you're getting from your team members here at San Antonio by implementing that responsiveness, the transparency, and the innovative feedback that you're seeking to update everybody with?
You want to start?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And we do surveys throughout the year, right? To kind of feel of how the employees feel about the organization, right? Employee engagement surveys. And another key indicator that really shows how we're doing is our turnover. So if you look at today, if you review the NSI data in terms of turnover nationally, that's about 15%, 15.4%. The organization here does 9.4%. So we're way below the national benchmark for turnovers. And I've been in organizations that the turnover is between 15 to 22. So it really tells a lot and says a lot about this hospital. So that's one indicator. The other one is our engagement scores. What we compare in terms of national benchmark averages, we do overwhelmingly well. And a lot of that has to do with the leadership team, right? That transparency, the collaboration, right? I think that really shines and shows how well we're doing.
Yeah, they feel cared for. We have what's called an operations council every week, where people, our directors, ask for a replacement position or a new position. And if it's a replacement position, I built in, and we follow this. We want to know who left and why. And what's the question I always ask?
Did you make it a counter offer?
Did you make a counter offer?
Did you make a counter offer?
Is there something, maybe since we only check surveys on every 6 months, maybe there was a hospital in the area who exceedingly raised the rate and they're going there. Well, we eventually want to match. If we didn't see it first and they did, we'll offer the same rate if we know we're going, if that's the ask average that's coming. So we actually keep a lot of employees that way.
That's a great way to address those gaps, right? If somebody leaves, that question is very important. Why did they leave? Was there a counter offer made, right? Because you want to keep your employees.
So it's fantastic when monthly, even at the president's luncheons, we share reasons that people do leave. You hear 15%, that still sounds high. But remember, a lot of those positions are per diems, people who are, this isn't their full-time job, or part-time, or retirement. So when we look at reasons for leaving, and we see pay or environment as the reason for leaving, it's now below the top 5 reasons. The top reason is probably moving out of the area, having a family, or retirement. And those are the ones I can live with.
Right. And so being 6% under the national average of 15% with only 9% turnover here at the hospital is a huge testament to how these different policies are actually benefiting and bucking the trend of the healthcare landscape. Dr. Jaqua, how does San Antonio Regional Hospital promote workforce development and growth opportunities for its employees?
So we have several programs, but one recently that we that I like to showcase is we've made some significant improvements in terms of our benefit package for loan and college tuition reimbursement. That's partially what we implemented. So that allows employees to further their education, and then also allowing employees to use the loan repayment to pay down their student loan debt. When a lot of these young students coming out of school, they can't start a family because they have, these huge loans to pay. And this, as long as they stay with us, we'll make their minimum payments for them. So this is a great tool to keep employees here with us while they continue to grow their career. But yeah, that's partially how we develop that kind of workforce. The other things that we do too is we look at opportunities for growth within the organization, for employees that want to advance their careers. We have programs to develop leaders, and that's something that we just now started, which is our leadership academy that John and I are very proud of. So that's certainly something that I think is going to show great payoff for the organization as we develop these leaders and employees that identify that they want to continue their growth. This is something that I think we're going to be very proud of in the future. So
it's fantastic when you can develop that type of talent within, instead of not doing anything about it, not getting them to the top where they can be, they're silly, and instead bringing someone external in, right? I'd rather have them developed here. The other thing that I'd like to tie on is, one of the things that we do, for instance, and some of the larger ones that even the one you just said is on strike right now doesn't do, is we take hundreds of new nurse grads. Now, what does that mean? Okay, so what? You take someone coming out of school. Well, most hospitals won't take somebody to work patient care until they have at least 6 months to a year of experience. What we do is we take the time to develop them ourselves. We'll take them, pay for an extra nurse. Think of paying for an extra 100 nurses. We pay our experienced nurses to train them, so they're trained ready. We give them a stipend of several dollars an hour, and most hospitals don't do that. Our goal is that's how we keep retention. That's how the community knows, hey, my daughter or my son going to school, maybe they have a chance to get in the door at San Antonio. So nurse new grads is just one part of the many workforce development pipelines that we have developed or are developing.
yeah, in fact, we have Schaefer College, Mount Stack, Western, Azusa. All these are schools that we have these agreements with, where the students, they come and they do rotations at our facility. And so we have a constant pipeline of new students and that are ready to join the workforce. And they're trained here at our facility. They're trained at our EMR system. So it's that sort of it decreases the amount of training that is necessary to do it because they're already trained. Another one that we do is CLSs at Cal State.
Clinical lab scientists.
Yeah. So that's another pipeline that we have too. So.
And people don't think about this, but physicians are considered workforce, even though in California, a hospital can't employ physicians. Well, we need physicians. So how do we do it? How does Kaiser do it? They create a foundation model. We created a medical group. We've talked before on your program about the lack of physicians in San Bernardino County. Now we have an approved 2 residency programs that when max, they'll be graduating 20 students a year, and our goal is to keep them. So as far as I'm concerned, that's part of the pipeline too.
Well, that's great. And we're going to pick up on that after the break. Yvette Walker with ABC News and Talk, Southern California Business Report, with visionary leaders John T. Chapman and Dr. Terry Jaqua, who have propelled San Antonio Regional Hospital to national prominence, earning top Medicare honors and pioneering innovative care and workforce strategies that set new standards for healthcare excellence across California and beyond. When we return.
Hi, I'm Dana Rademacher with MGR Property Management.
A lot of people wonder about the value that property management has for their property. Property management can include all property types, including residential, commercial, and HOA. It is valuable because property managers are experienced in what can happen at your property. We're aware of liabilities. We're able to do predictive and preventative maintenance. We know what is coming up with the changes in the weather, the seasons, how old certain aspects or different capital projects at your property are. We're able to best negotiate contract pricing, legalities with your tenants, and anything else that you may need to ensure that you're getting the full value of the property. If you're interested in speaking with the representative at MGR Property Management regarding your property management needs, you can visit our website at mgrrealestate.com, or you can call our number at area code 909-581-6600 to be connected with a representative.
Ontario International Airport is onto a better way to fly with over 65 daily nonstop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Cal State San Bernardino is home to the only School of Entrepreneurship in California. With globally ranked degree programs, you can start your journey today to become a successful entrepreneur. Learn more and connect at entre.csusb.edu.
Hi, I'm San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes. If you're looking to start an exciting career in law enforcement and make a difference in your community, we are hiring dispatchers, nurses, deputies, laterals, and many more. For a complete list of our jobs and more information, visit sheriffsjobs.com.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
We are the Empire Strikers, the professional sports team of the Inland Empire. We are a fast-actioned and community-inspired pro indoor soccer team. Our mission is to inspire the Empire. Home games, community events, watch parties, and youth camps are all back. Professional indoor soccer is back. Join us and come watch the greatest show on turf at Toyota Arena or on Twitch. Visit www.theempirestrikers.com for more and any information.
Welcome back, everyone. Yvette Walker with ABC News and Talk, Southern California Business Report, here today with visionary leaders John T. Chapman and Dr. Terry Jaqua, who have propelled San Antonio Regional Hospital to national prominence, earning top Medicare honors and pioneering innovative care and workforce strategies that set new standards for healthcare excellence across California and beyond. Thank you both so much for joining the program and sharing your insight and expertise. So, prior to the program, we were talking a lot about the innovative approach you have to responding to your workforce and how you're able to basically not need unions to represent your staff because you're so responsive and transparent. And I know that in that innovative process, since you've joined, John, there have been critical steps in San Antonio Regional Hospital's financial renaissance. And can you talk about the leadership principles that have guided this transformation?
Sure. I'm a big believer in you can't manage what you don't measure. So when I came here, and this was before Terry's time by a few years, we found a beautiful community hospital However, the hospital was losing over $24 million a year, right? And when I came in, they said, okay, you're coming in, you've got to find a way to turn it around. So show me the metrics. And actually that made me actually see the opportunity that was there because, we'll talk the embarrassing story. There were hardly any metrics. So, we started from finance to operations to staffing to volume. We looked at everything. So, for instance, in finance, we noticed we didn't have the latest in terms of prioritization of bill pay, right, to insurers. They would take the oldest insurance claim, which might be $1,000, and there's a $3 million one that's going to expire in 24 hours, and they never saw it. So bringing in an outside company, and I'll leave the company's name out, we actually put metrics in place, put operations in place, invested in new software, had their team of over 40 people here for half a year, and they found $14 million a year. So that cut our cost down by $10 million. The second one was, and Terry, you could appreciate this, we have over 2,500 employees, and they were all benefited full time. So what are you supposed to do when census goes down? When census goes down, you typically want to reduce the amount of labor you use. Low periods, just like you want to raise it when they're high periods. Well, we're sending people home that are going to get paid regardless if they're here or not. So you're really not saving any dollars. A good organization, even for employee burnout, will have a huge, I won't say huge, but let's say 10 to 15% of per diems or part-timers. Those you can call in an emergency who aren't guaranteed hours are the same people you can call off when you don't need them. So being able to be efficient with the number of employees we need based on each day, we actually have metrics, daily productivity reports. That got us to break even. And then using the employees like we talked about before in terms of looking for waste was another mechanism we use that saved several more million dollars. I share this example one time in the last few weeks. Is as an example, we had another employee group. We said, let's look at the crash carts. Each crash cart has about $200,000 to $250,000 in supplies. The bad thing, which you might not know, is if we ever have to open a crash cart because someone is having a COVID load, anything that's left in the crash cart has to be tossed because it's no longer sterile. They would go in typically for things that would have to do with opening an airway. Well, that's probably about $1,000 of that $100,000 to the $200,000 worth of equipment. So we said, my God, we're losing millions of dollars. And we had one employee says, why don't we just put the airways on top in a separate, smaller crash bin on top of the crash cart? We did, and just that one simple idea. Now, whoever's listening, this is simple, right? Saved over $2.5 million a year. I thought it was $1 million. It was $2.5.
$2.5 million just by that one adjustment.
So imagine staff in every department, they're sharing how we can make operations better. And that's why we're one of the few hospitals, I'd say the only hospital, I can say that in Southern California, actually breaks even Medicare in terms of what they pay to our costs. So we're very proud of the turnarounds we've done. In fact, over the last 7 to 8 years, it'll be 8 years this time, we've had credit upgrades every year, while the hospital industry, according to Moody's, has credit downgrades every year. We're going the opposite direction from healthcare. And again, we're so proud of having the caregivers and our executives all take a team approach to finding these types of solutions.
It's remarkable. Dr. Jaqua, how have these philosophies and leaning into these key analytics assisted or played into your role leading HR?
Sure. I'm glad you asked that question. So essentially what John was sharing in terms of the, if you look at your staffing models and you see that, when John got here, the majority of the staff were full-time employees. You should have a mixture of full-time, part-time, and per diem. we had a very, very small pool of per diem employees. And when John was sharing about benchmarks about 10 to 15%, that's pretty standard in the industry. You're supposed to have that because of that variables of people leaving, call-offs, leave of absence and such. You should be able to have staff available to meet those needs. And where do you have that? A lot of that has to do with per diem staff, where you have per diem staff that are able to flex in some of the holes in the schedule. So that was one of the things that was implemented here. And you could really see a difference in terms of your labor over net revenue because of not having to spend so much dollars on, let's say, registry, because you have staff that are internal that are able to meet those needs. So that's one of the ways. What Joan also shared that he touched on was the operations meetings that we have every week that we look at, for instance, when there's new positions that become available. What's very interesting and unique about this organization that I didn't quite experience in others is that we have a teaching mentality, right? It's very impressive to sit in those meetings and watch our leaders grow in terms of their financial abilities to understand different concepts in terms of operations. For instance, we cover every new role, and we look at work productivity versus budget versus flex pay in order to make a decision whether this position is needed or not. I don't see a lot of organizations do that. What they tend to do is they sort of get stuck in old ways and habits, and that really puts your net labor over net revenue just at 65% or 70% even, which is just really a problem when it comes to your overall operations.
I'd love to add on to that. Not only do we look of whether a position is needed, I'll give you an example where we've actually told our employees add new positions. Mm-hmm. So we've had certain departments who say we're at 100%, but I keep hearing when we round, we're burned out. Mm-hmm. It's like, how can that be? What we found out is they looked at 100% like they had enough bodies, but they really didn't. They were working people overtime through their breaks. Now, if we knew that, that tells us, okay, now we know why you're at 100%. They're burning out, and you're paying them time and a half, double time. So we'd say, go open 3 positions. Because when we look at the actual number of bodies, they didn't have enough. But it looked like they did because they were working people past their routine hours. So we do both. We coach them on how to find new positions that doesn't impact the organization financially. It actually improves the well-being and how our employees feel about those. So when he says teaching, you can tell I really love that component. That's why I sit in those ops councils too.
Right. So given all of this innovation and keen attention to the analytics that are really driving these costs either up or down, I mean, that's been the foundation of the financial turnaround we've been able to experience. And with that come the expansion of the hospital, right? And so recently you've been expanding in urgent care and specialty programs at San Antonio Regional Hospital. Can you speak to those, John?
Yeah. So when a hospital is profitable, and let's be honest about profitability. When I say profitability of 7 or 8 years, we're talking thin margins, right? We're talking 1% to 2% margins. That's why I'm always having anxiety of what's the latest cost in healthcare. But as a nonprofit independent, our goal is to reinvest in the community. So how do we determine what the community needs? Community health needs assessment report. We do this every 2 years, or by zip code. We look at, okay, what are the issues? What are people having sickness from? What are people dying? What's the average age? What's their ethnicity? And we want to target those populations for programs. So, as an example, earlier, you mentioned center of aging. The Center of Aging, well, we found out that over the next 10 years, this county will have the highest growth rate in seniors. Well, it's a no-brainer. We should focus on seniors. So the Center of Aging, as I had mentioned in the previous program, is a one-stop shop for seniors. Almost every specialty, almost every family medicine, geriatrics, lab, radiology, behavioral health will all be in one large building, shared scheduling system where they can have multiple, they can see multiple providers on the same day. Why is that important? Because even a senior with Medicare, if they need a transport vehicle for the wheelchair, it's still $100 out of pocket for every time. So we said, not only are we going to cohort visits together, we're going to provide free rides if they have a problem getting here, as long as they're in a 20 square mile area. The problem, and it's a good problem to have, we have cities 50 square miles away saying, can you bring the same program to us? So that actually feels good. We're confident that we're doing the right thing. And at the same time, you mentioned urgent cares. We've opened up several urgent cares in the last few years. And why is that? Well, I had mentioned lack of family medicine doctors in our area, which is easy to see because when we look at the number of visits in hospitals, the number of visits in ERs are triple the national average when you look at the Inland Empire, especially San Bernardino County. It's not because of lack of hospitals, it's because no one can go in and see their primary care when they really need to. So our goal is to increase those family practitioners, at the same time offer a lower level where, hey, if you're going in and you're sick, you know you're not having a heart attack, at least have another place to go, which is in urgent care, right? So we're investing in our community.
That's terrific. So, Dr. Jaqua, earlier you alluded to employee burnout as being something that is at the top of mind. So talk about wellness programs that influence organizational performance at San Antonio Regional Hospital and assist to eliminate or mitigate the burnout effect.
Sure. We have, so a lot of hospitals have similar programs, but we do it a little bit further, right? So, for instance, a lot of hospitals have what we call an EAP program, where it discusses burnout and other issues. But
tell them what EAP is.
Employee assistance program, which what we provide, the program essentially provides counseling, legal experts, and a whole slew of different things that we offer. But we also have a wellness program that's part of our benefit package, where employees get discounted rates for the EPO medical benefits. As long as they follow the program in terms of getting at least one medical examination per year, and then some labs, you get this discount. And there's all these other activities that we have throughout the year. For instance, hiking our San Antonio mountain range, right? Mountain Baldy, that we do all these little activities with our employees, which really helps emphasize that, that wellness component. We also implemented something new called the Care for the Caregiver, which we have a number of different leaders and employees that want to participate in the program, which we identify employees, or at least they come to us, that they're going through some kind of a struggle, either mental health issues or struggling at home, and we're able to help them, right? Coach them, provide assistance, even financial. So that's something that we're very proud of too. So
yeah, part of that we call Here For You, right? We love the Here For You, Care For You approach. There are many employees who, during a work week or while they're on shift, may see a loved one die that they're caring for, may think they made a mistake and have a panic attack. We actually had, outside our hospital, there was police action. People are threatened and scared about that. So we consider it almost like an emergency response for these employees. We have other employees who are trained to be there for them. That's what we call it, Cure. So they see that employee on that shift and talk things through with them.
Well, more innovative programs and solutions to very common outcomes and challenges that I imagine healthcare workforce sees. And with that, the San Antonio Regional Hospital teams have been shining, recently achieving a 4-star Medicare ranking. And the hospital also was recognized as a top 50 cardiology hospital in the nation. What does that mean for San Antonio Regional Hospital and its patients?
Well, I think it's just validation to the community with these types of awards. U.S. News and World Report just gave us a specialty hospital top 5% in the U.S. for heart bypass. But we're really proud of as well as same thing, U.S. News and World Report recognizing us as a top maternity hospital. U.S. News and World Report recognizing us as a top orthopedic joint replacement hospital. These are all specialties that we spend a lot of time in to make sure they're quality and efficient and meets the needs of the community. So these service lines, we love to see those awards on it, right? It just tells the community you're going to the right place.
Right. Dr. Jaqua, what does that tell you when you're leading human resources to see the accumulation of so many awards, including, as I mentioned, top 50 cardiology in the nation and 4-star Medicare ranking?
Well, I'm very proud of this organization and what we have achieved. And I think, I'm very proud of our employees. I mean, I think that's our most important assets in any corporation or in the industry. And, being able to value our employees and make sure that they're taken care of, I think that's really important and really shows and shines on all of these accolades that we receive.
And, tying that back to your original question about unions, we're giving you the type of things that we do that unions have to come in other places that aren't doing. So when I said places where unions are needed, they're trying to do the same things we're doing, except we're doing it without our employees having to pay union dues to have an outside group do what we as leaders should be doing and are doing.
Wow, that's exceptional. And, recently, through the ability to invest and innovate and grow the footprint of the hospital, there was a recent launch of the ACGME accredited residency programs. What impact has that had on the SARH community, internally and externally?
Oh, all right. You got another program?
Right. We're just scratching the surface. And we're coming to the end of the hour, but just wanted to throw that in there.
So I mentioned that in the Inland Empire, it is the lowest county in California for number of primary care family medicine per 100,000 population, right? We want to close the gap in San Bernardino County. No one else is doing it. 53% of hospitals are losing money. They're not investing in these things. We're investing in growing training for a residency program, and more important, keeping these physicians in our community, representing San Antonio and treating our patient population. That's the external. Internal, well, when you're dealing with attending doctors are seeing their patients in clinics all the time, right? If you've had a loved one who's been an inpatient, what's the first thing you're always looking for? When is that doctor going to visit? I have questions. And let's be honest, for those who've experienced it, we're lucky, regardless of what hospital you're at, to see a physician once or twice to give you what's the update on you or your loved one's condition. Residents, when you have 30 residents running around representing those doctors, the families love it because they can talk and find out 5, 6, 7 times a day and answer their questions because those residents are internal in the hospital. We're seeing a big improvement on our physician communication scores, on our national averages for how we're doing with inpatients. Do they like us? Do they score us 10 out of 10 on every category? Well, one of them has always been, for every hospital, physician communication, and it's soaring internally with the residency.
That's exciting. So last question to both of you, and I'll start with Dr. Jaqua. What is your vision for the future of San Antonio Regional Hospital as a beacon of care, innovation, and community partnership?
I think it's in terms of, my area, which is, employees, I think it's continue to be, the top employer in our region by offering good, wages and benefits, keep employees engaged. And I think as long as we do that, we'll continue to remain the kind of sort of the beacon for and what other hospitals in our region will strive to be. So.
Sounds great. And to you, John.
I better get this right because I'm the president CEO and we talk about vision.
You get to close it out.
Right?
Yes.
Our vision is to improve the health of the community. And that's measurable, right? How do we measure that? We measure what is the, how long are people living? We mentioned zip codes. Are the conditions that we're tackling by zip code improving over the years? You mentioned innovation. Are we bringing the type of services that most people would have to travel to an academic medical center 40 miles away? Like bringing City of Hope next door to have all their cancer care right here in this community instead of getting in their car and going and driving those 30 miles to where's it, Florida, right? I've had a mom who's had chemotherapy. It's not easy just to get up, let alone have to travel. So our goal is to find those cutting edge technologies, find those community partners, make this hospital incredibly known for its quality and care, and keep this care in the community and share with the community, yeah, we are making a difference. And here's the metrics that prove it.
And your team and you under your leadership are definitely making that difference and moving the needle in healthcare. And it's exciting to see the growth and transformation in real time. So thank you both so much for your time, for your expertise, and for just doing what you do to continue to serve our communities.
Thank you for letting us share our story.
All right. For everybody listening, don't forget to find us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Don't forget to check us out on SCBRtalk.com. And don't miss my conversation with Randall Lewis, Executive Vice President and Principal at Lewis Operating Corps. His visionary leadership and unyielding commitment to community has transformed the landscape of California and Nevada. Next week, we will have Janice Rutherford. From leading Girl Scout watershed cleanups to shaping California public policy, Janice's lifelong devotion to service is woven through every chapter of her life. You do not want to miss it. We will see you all next week.